What's up, Establish Runs NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through a 6-game Thursday slate. Nice size slate. Still plenty of injuries in the NBA to go through, so not as big as the Wednesday slate or the Friday slate, but still plenty to talk about here. To do it with me is Mike Gallagher. Mike, how are you?
Doing good, yeah. Easy one. Not a lot of huge injury ramifications, and not a lot late either, and no late stuff. The last game is 8:30, so pretty straightforward slate. Got a couple doubtful, questionable tags that we'll talk about, but and some other notes that aren't on the injury report that I want to talk about too. So yeah, should be a fun little tight slate. Like we like 7 gamers. Big one tomorrow. Got suspensions coming with Killian Hayes getting suspended most likely. We'll see how many games, but yeah, fun little slate today to warm us up for tomorrow.
I love these 6-game slates. My one caveat is I just wish more of the games were spaced out a little bit. For my own personal self-interest, when the games are really crunched, the projection work gets heavy post-show, and it's tougher for me to play DFS, to vet out all the prop bets. Need a little bit more time, a little focus, but we do what we do to the best of our ability. Let's start on this slate with Cedi Osman, who's questionable for Cleveland. They're relatively healthy now, having added Lamar Stevens back into the mix. What are your thoughts on Cedi's availability tonight with this back soreness? And if he's unavailable, how would that impact the rotation?
Yeah, midday downgrade. Not great, not a back-to-back set, so this is something new. He saw a ton of minutes in the last game as the Nets were just leaving Lamar Stevens open, and they wanted to get a little bit more offense out there, and they just kind of live with putting whoever on Kevin Durant. So yeah, we'll see if he's out. They also don't have Robin Lopez, which doesn't really matter, but see a little bit more Isaac Okoro, a little bit more leash for Lamar Stevens. You don't need the wing defense as much, so I could see them leaning more into more of Okoro to having more of an on-ball guy to guard Tyrese Halliburton. I still think Lamar Stevens starts, but I could be, and also should mention Karis LeVert would also kind of benefit here as they lean more into the offense, especially with the pace that the Pacers are going to be playing at. So I would actually say LeVert probably benefits most than Okoro, and I don't think Stevens would be affected too much.
Do you think they go 8-man rotation or 9-man rotation? And if it were a 9th man, would it be Diakite or Raul Neto who slides into this rotation?
Probably. It might be Neto. Probably DK, but I think they might just go 8. Honestly, they seem to like Kevin Love. Kevin Love's minutes were kind of down the last game. We've seen him get bigger minutes, so I think it'd be like an 8.5. We'd only probably throw those guys scraps if Cedi can't go.
That's kind of what I wanted to get into is, low key, obviously, Cedi, hope your back gets better. If you're unable to go, though, we might see an 8-man rotation, and those are usually very fantasy friendly. Kevin Love's price has been down in DFS, so you might get some reason for the minutes to stabilize closer to that 20 mark where he can make an impact on a relatively small slate.
2-game losing streak as well, so definitely want to get a win here.
Yeah, on the other side of this one, you mentioned Tyrese Halliburton, knee bruise. Andrew Hedgeland notes diabetes is out. Just double checking the injury report to make sure. DK is listed out. Yeah, he's listed with the G League two-way.
I missed that.
So it would be Neto in that spot unless they change the G League.
Which they might,
Which they might. Might be if they do change the G League stuff, probably an indication that Cedi is out. So something to keep an eye on later. Okay, Indiana side, Tyrese Halliburton questionable right knee bruise. We've noted before, Halliburton seems to play through every questionable tag that he has. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, no note from Rick Carlisle after the game. His only note on Tyrese Halliburton's health was trying to keep his mids down. That was a concern. So maybe that was tied to a little bit of an injury. But yeah, obviously Halliburton's playing great. Expect him to play here. We'll see if he even gets a game. This is not as concerning as the wrist thing that we saw last week. So he's just getting hit with all sorts of different kind of injury news.
All right, let's move to the Charlotte side of things. Charlotte back at home after a long West Coast road trip. They get to play the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. They have questionable tags on Dennis Smith Jr., who has not been able to play through this questionable tag the last few games. Nick Richards, who's been upgraded from doubtful. So that's a positive sign on Nick Richards. And then they've got Kelly Oubre, who's doubtful. And we saw last game with Kelly Oubre doubtful, there's more room for the rotation to get even tighter. Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier, PJ Washington, those guys to play heavy minutes. What are your thoughts on how the rotation looks in the absence of Kelly Oubre, as we're expecting now? And do you think Nick Richards slides back into that role that we've seen Mark Williams take over in his absence?
Yeah, so I think it's a midday upgrade. Certainly a good sign for Nick Richards. Wasn't really too much concern initially with the ankle, so I think he should be back. But so that would probably make Mark Williams go away, who filled in, kind of okay. Obviously, no Kelly Oubre. We're seeing extended minutes from Jaden McDaniels. We'll expect that to happen again. Obviously, much higher minute ceilings for Gordon Hayward, who they're comfortable playing a lot of minutes. LaMelo, if he could avoid foul trouble. Maybe Rozier, if he could make a shot, could maybe play 38 minutes. You're obviously gonna need a wing defender real bad here against SGA. So I think McDaniels, we saw his brother do a pretty good job there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get an early sub, McDaniels. So I think McDaniels just they need his role like kind of in a significant way. So with Oubre not expected to play, he could get up there. I could see him playing upper 20s in this spot.
Would you expect Terry Rozier to initially draw that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander assignment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Tough spot for Terry.
One thing, if I could just go back to the Diakite thing. So their G League team was in Cleveland last night. They're the Cleveland Charge now. So they don't play tomorrow. So I would assume they're still in town. So that'd be a pretty easy call up. And Dink, earmuffs. Diakite, 28 points last night in 37 minutes in a G League against the Grand Rapids Gold. So he's ready to go. Nice.
Was he like 10th on the team in scoring with that 28 mark?
Top score, second for the game. Paul Watson got 29 on the
Watson.
Grand Rapids.
Good to hear.
Yeah. Good to hear.
That's
that may be Peyton Watson. Sorry.
Okay. I was going to say, if Paul Watson's still floating around, good for him. But that would have been a good transition to the Toronto Raptors, where Precious Achiuwa is questionable. Fred VanVleet is also questionable, but you noted in notes possibly more doubtful. Christian Koloko is also questionable here. And we've seen the Nick Nurse, Chris Boucher saga. The bad romance is on the outs right now, as Chris Boucher has been pushed way down the depth chart. What are your thoughts on how the Raptors look tonight in a matchup at home against Memphis?
Yeah, Chris Boucher is in the depth charts. He is in the Mariana Trench depths of the depth chart right now. But yeah, back to the injury stuff. Let's start with VanVleet. Didn't practice, has back spasms. I'd be pretty shocked if he's playing. This seems like we see this guy not play through a lot of stuff. He had a lingering injury that kept him out for a little bit. Why would they play him, a day after suffering back spasms? I'd be really surprised if he plays. That means probably Malachi Flynn season. We've seen Malachi Flynn take the minutes of Scotty Barnes at times, so I expect him to get the start. They are not comfortable playing Gary Trent kind of big minutes in a big role. Scotty Barnes' ball handling hasn't been quite as good. It was actually pretty good the last game. Actually had Ivica Zubac guarding him in quite a bit. But I think they would start Flynn. I think he'd be a pretty decent option against a Memphis team that gives up threes. We've seen Malachi kind of go hot and cold on shooting, so he could really benefit. But they might start Trent. That would be a big sign for Scotty Barnes there. Sounds like Achiuwa is going to be back. He is going to play in short stints and have a, quote, limited package of plays. And then, as you mentioned, the last question for Nurse at the practice presser was, hey, does Precious come back, help Boucher? And he said maybe he has to play better. So he is in real bad shape here. The Boucher doghouse, man. No, he's got to be the poster. He's got to be the poster boy for doghouses, right? Like there's nobody that gets doghoused harder than him. But so short version. Think VanVleet sitting. Think Malachi starts. Precious probably getting like 13, 14 minutes, and then Boucher is still just toasties.
And OG takes the jaw responsibilities, your guess, tonight?
100%.
Okay. All right, let's move over to the Knicks. Jalen Brunson questionable. RJ Barrett's going to be out a week or so is the expectation there. The Knicks are very willing to play super, super tight. We saw RJ Barrett leave and Grimes and Quickly barely left the floor. 51 minutes for Quickly, 48 for Grimes of 53 available to them, 45 for Julius Randle, 46 for Deuce McBride off the bench. What are we going to see if they're without Jalen Brunson tonight? I mean, like how deep is Tibbs willing to go if deep at all?
Yeah. So one thing I want to add here, after the game, Thibodeau was asked by a reporter if you played Miles McBride 46 minutes and you didn't even play Cam Reddish. So someone kind of sharply had said, is Reddish even going to play? He said, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe." It was, pretty good indication that they don't want to play this dude. So if they're both, quickly starting for Barrett, I think that's pretty obvious. I think if they're both out, meaning if Brunson's also out, I think they go to McBride, man. They seem to like this guy, so I think they would start, all those young guys, young point guards, and then we'd see a little bit more Rose. I mean, I would probably guess Fournier or even Svi Mikhailuk could come out of the woodwork here, but we would see really, really tight rotations against the worst NBA defense, man. So kind of a little foreshadowing for what we're going to be talking about on DFS today, especially if Brunson's out.
Yeah. Knicks against the Spurs, condensed rotation, lots of opportunity. It's going to be Knicks onslaughts tonight in DFS. All right. Reggie Bullock is questionable with an illness for Dallas. He's been picking up more minutes of late in the absence of Dorian Finney-Smith and Josh Green, who both remain out, along with Maxi Kleber. What's your read on the availability of Bullock? And if not available, how do they try to cope with more limited options?
Yeah, so I don't have a read, just the illness. We'll see. And then, I mentioned this on one of the shows, injury show, DFS show, whenever it was, that I thought that there was a chance they could go big here to match up better with Julius Randle, and they did. They go with Dwight Powell playing 31 minutes, Christian Wood playing 40, obviously overtime. But, I would expect them to go that way again if they don't have Bullock. You'd be seeing a little bit more Frankie Lakina, McKinley right four getting in the mix. But, again, could be condensed rotations, definitely higher upside for Christian Wood, and again, revenge game for Christian Wood too. So we saw Luka put up a 50 ball on these guys the last time they played. So Luka could maybe go for 60 again. I don't know about 20 boards though.
Yeah, just an incredible stat line from Luka last time out, and obviously another team that's willing to play pretty tight rotations here, as they are thinned out with guys that are accustomed to playing decent minutes, especially in that 3-4 spot. OKC. Alexei Pokusevski out 6 to 8 weeks. Still no Jeremiah Robinson Earl. You mentioned Dort was sick last game, off the injury report here. What are your thoughts on Oklahoma City tonight? They're in a favorable matchup against Charlotte. We like.
Uh-oh. Am I lost or is Dink lost? Because I can't hear anybody.
Oh, I if you lost me, I don't know what to do. Chat, help us out.
I think we're good now. But okay. I'm guessing you asked about OKC. So I
asked about OKC, and specifically, is Mike Muscala a thing now? Because we like to take centers against Charlotte.
Oh, it was you who were lost. You were the lost one. Okay,
amazing, wild.
Yeah,
okay.
So I'll take it from the top here. So Pokusevski, he is in a lot of buckets. The main bucket he's in right now is the center bucket. And putting him more in the center bucket has opened up Jalen Williams to really take over the forward minutes. And we've seen elevated minutes there. So not having to worry about Pokusevski in bigger matchups. I think Jalen Williams is about to ready to take off here, fans guy. So then you look at the center bucket. The center bucket we saw last game against Jakob Poeltl. Classic big man, pounded inside. This is a Mike Muscala matchup for him. They are going to want to play him against those types of players. Now you're playing against Mason Plumlee, not quite the same matchup. So who else is in that bucket? Darius Bazley's in that bucket. I think Darius Bazley might start, and that way it gives them even a little bit of they're okay playing Jalen Williams as a post man or got down low. They mixed them up with the matchup, so I think Bazley's got a pretty good chance to start. That gives you more switchability with the offense that the Hornets are going to run. Lets them run faster. Two pretty fast offenses here. So I think those guys are affected. I'm curious to see if Jay Will is in the mix here. We'll see if he's out, so I don't get chat shamed for injury report. But I think he would probably get minutes. Trey Mann, earmuffs.
He's not listed out.
Okay. Yep. Earmuffs. G League quote reset him according to Mark Dagnall. So Trey Mann made a really big impact late in the game. Really helped them pull away. Aaron Wiggins had an impact as well. So. Yeah, just a couple more minutes. It's going to be really annoying. And as you mentioned, Lou Dort was not in the injury report on Tuesday. He was ill during the game, and it cut his minutes to just 22, which led to Aaron Wiggins really picking up more run because he's in that on-ball defender bucket with him and Kenrich Williams and Lou Dort. So, yeah, a couple of rotation changes, but I think Bazley's a guy who kind of benefits after Jalen Williams. He has a really high floor now, but expect Bazley to benefit, Muscala to benefit in different matchups. And then, just smaller lineups like Trey Mann could play a little bit more, but those guys benefit most.
Lou Dort, not listed. Find him again.
Yeah, find him.
Find OKC
Find Miami,
again.
man.
I'm tired.
Lowry late scratch yesterday. What the hell?
Keep finding them. Find them all. Okay. On to the Spurs, who listed Devin Vassell out, Keldon Johnson in, Doug McDermott in. What are your thoughts on who the Spurs start in Devin Vassell's absence tonight against the Knicks?
So Jeremy Sohan has suddenly taken off. He is 100% locked into his role. Obviously, you've got Keldon, Pirtle, Trey Jones, and the matchup's important to note here. I think if they have Brunson in, I would lean Langford. If he's out, I would not be surprised to see Malachi Branham, who's been picking up some minutes. We saw him kind of fade in the last game, but 2 games ago really took over late. This is a spot for him. I think you want to get more perimeter scoring. It sounds like they want to play him. Brett Brown talked about him a little bit. I think he's got a chance to start with no Vassell. Vassell has been ruled out, as you mentioned.
All right. That will do it unless any other news broke while my audio was out and we were on the air.
We did get some Celtics stuff. Stuff.
Is that for
Malcolm
tomorrow?
Brogdon? No, today. They're
tonight. They're playing the Clippers tonight.
Yep. Blake Griffin revenge game could be on hold. He has an illness. He's questionable, and Malcolm Brogdon also ill, questionable. So we saw Blake crack the second unit on was it Christmas when he was the kind of backup big man? And obviously,
he had like a 6-minute rotation.
Yeah, but he was, that was a new role for him.
Yeah,
he's usually like the starter for Al Horford fill in, and that's it. But obviously, if so, that's pretty irrelevant. But if Brogdon's out, you're talking about more minute ceiling, more ball handling for Marcus Smart and Derek White. Those guys could benefit a little bit. Pretty straightforward.
All right, that will do it for another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, support the people who are supporting us. This show is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They have daily NBA snake drafts running for money in addition to many formats of NFL contests still running for huge prizes. If you're playing NBA Pick'em, in-season subscribers can use our tool to compare ETR projections to their fantasy Pick'em game. If you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use promo code ETR for a matching deposit bonus up to $100. That's promo code ETR at underdogfantasy.com. And there are 2 more days left in the holiday sale that we are running at Established Run. So if you're interested in joining our team at Established Run and getting access to our world-class projections and content, including Mike Gallagher's matchups column, our live shows, top plays, and such, there's a 33% discount available now. The sale runs through the end of tomorrow. This will recur at these same prices. So if you're an existing subscriber, you can also cancel your current subscription and resub at the new lower price for the rest of the season as well. So make sure to take advantage of that while you still can. That sale ends tomorrow. As always, if you are uninterested in giving us your hard-earned dollars, we would ask for your hard-earned clicks. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, get notifications whenever we go live. And of course, smash that like button to feed the algorithm and circulate this content so we can keep providing this great free content for you. For myself and Mike Gallagher, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Good luck in the games tonight. Feed that algorithm. Feed yourselves in the DFS and prop streets and help us feed our families. Nom, 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 nom. See you tomorrow.